Welcome to the podcast. Súbele volumen. Conversation with the people who were with me. In the world TV. Carlos Tonight. Historias de un reportero. Carlos Tonight. Dale que viene lo bueno.
Hey everyone, this is Carlos Tonight. Thanks so much for being here. Like many people, I'm a very spiritual person who believes in a higher power. Not a lot of people do, and that's okay. I respect that. But for me, I believe in angels and I believe in signs. This week, my guest uses her intuition and her spiritual gifts to help people heal and grow. I want to introduce you to Jenni Conn, the medium experience. Hey Jennifer, how are you?
I'm so well. How are you?
It's good to have you. I'm well. Let's start by explaining to people what your spiritual gift is.
Well, the first thing I do is I teach people that I don't think it's a gift. I think it's something that we all have. And so something that I have accessed is my mediumship and then my psychic abilities. And I use those to sort of help people awaken their communication and the conversation with the spirit within. Mediumship, traditionally, people think of speaking to spirits outside of us. And I do that as well, and it really lights me up to help you know that you are not alone. But what really, really brings me joy is to initiate the conversation with the most important quality, and that's the spirit within us.
And that's something that you, early on in your life is what you kind of, noticed about yourself.
I knew I was always very highly sensitive and aware of energies, and I knew that I was an empath at a very young age. The psychic abilities I didn't quite know until I got more, probably late teens and 20s, and I could read pictures and kind of get senses about people, but the mediumship didn't come until 2020.
How would you describe that moment when you started realizing all this?
Oh, I don't think there was ever a moment. I think it was just, I think sometimes when we open, I feel like they're dials. So some people's dials are turned really down, and I think all my dials were turned up. And so what that feels like is that you're crazy sometimes. Like it feels like anxiety or just like not knowing how to make a decision because you don't know what is your voice or, somebody else's. And so I actually struggled a lot in life, and I didn't quite know how to navigate because it was too noisy. So part of my journey was learning how to turn those dials down. And then when I did that and I started to self-care and just really take care of the humanness, that's when the mediumship became very clear because I learned what my kind of default setting was. And so then I started to know when other energies were coming into my auric field, and, that was spirit.
Is it hard to, control it?
The only time it's hard to control it is when you're drinking. Because, they call alcohol spirits, and there's a reason why, and it really shuts off your frontal lobe, your frontal cortex, and so your cognitive thinking kind of gets a little loose, and so you are more open. And sometimes people that have, their dials turned up, like I just said, when they drink, they will actually be communicating from spirit, I guess, and so what comes out of your mouth is like, oh, was that mine or was that somebody else's? Was that for me or am I helping serve? So it can get a little sloppy if you're not careful when alcohol is involved. But when alcohol is not involved, I know how to now shut down my auric field and protect myself, and it is easier to control.
Oh, great. Now, as you mentioned, we're all born with intuition, and under that umbrella, we have access to a lot of things, including psychic ability and mediumship. What are the signs, and how do we embrace those skills?
So if you're like me, the signs would... you were probably always trying to self-diagnose. You're like, what is wrong with me? You might think you have a personality disorder. You might think you're crazy. You might start self-assessing because you don't know why you can't be calm or at peace. Meditating will probably be very hard for you because who could just sit there? And so realizing that, one, you can always communicate with spirit, always. And so mediumship, I've always, teach people, if you've ever prayed to a higher source, you're using your mediumship. You just haven't learned how to listen. And so the first step is to calming your nervous system. And the where we live today is everything is so activating. So, we're on our phones all the time. We have like a positive ionic overload. And so when our nervous system is activated, we're not going to be able to listen to our intuition, our signs, the subtlety of like claircognizance, clairsentience, all of the senses we have in the physical, we also have them in the spiritual. And so those are going to be less loud because, we're so accustomed to listening to how our bodies respond in the physical. So really calming the nervous system, learning how to not be in such an activated state is the first step.
I used to have a friend in college who said he would speak to spirits and whatnot. And I remember one time his hands were on his head, and he was like trying to control something. But he told me that he was like blocking because there was a lot of people or a lot of spirits that were trying to talk to him. Is that something that could happen or can happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. So everyone has their own experience with spirit and their own journey. And so some of us come here for lessons, some of us come here to serve. I mean, we all have a different sort of contract. And so you are spirit, so there's that. So you definitely want to have a communication with your own spirit. But as far as like communicating to spirit outside of you, that's up to like you and your soul. You do have free will. And so when you feel pressure though up here, that's psychic ability, that's coming in your third eye. Normally, I should say, mediumship, it comes through your solar plexus. So it's going to feel a little bit more, I know that you probably have not worn one of these curls, but like a corset. No. So it's just going to be like tight around your belly when you first start doing that work. So your body's going to have different sensations. And so I'm thinking that he was getting a lot of psychic downloads when he was putting his hands on his head.
How does it feel having the ability to talk with the other side? Is it scary? Is it uplifting?
I mean, I think it's not scary at all. I think the human mind and throughout history, we've sort of told a story that communicating to spirit is scary, and it's not. It's all love. It's all pure. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm constantly in contact with my spirit guides, angels, the spirit within, and it's uplifting. You feel unstoppable. You feel in control of your life, and so it's beautiful.
Who are the people that come to you for guidance? Is it people who recently lost someone, or people who are looking for answers?
So there's a couple different kind of categories. So I do a lot of clarity readings, and that's going to involve like more psychic ability and sometimes mediumship. If someone on the other side really wants to convey a message, they're going to. But I kind of work under the belief that like spirit wants you to be in communication with spirit. And so I don't want you to lean on me, because leaning on a medium is leaning on a third party. And so I have a lot of clarity reading clientele and mentorship because my intention is to teach people how to fish instead of continuing to give them fish. But when people are in tragedy, grief, something happens, the mediumship readings I do usually are for somebody that needs healing and kind of stuck in a stage of grief and just really need comfort knowing that their loved one is still with them.
What's the process like for you talking with the other side? I think probably a lot of people will think of the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg. It's nothing like that, right?
Not for me, no. So my experience is I'm very claircognizance. I'm very dominant in my claircognizance, and claircognizance is clear knowing. And so like I mentioned before, if I am flooding my mind and I have a low self-esteem and low self-worth, I'm not going to give anything that enters my mind credit, especially if I'm in a relationship or being raised in a family where I'm told that I'm crazy or my feelings aren't validated. And so your upbringing, is going to sort of give you beliefs that you operate under, and those are going to support or not your clairs. And so it took me kind of a while to get to a place of, the higher self-esteem, to where then my clear knowing was validated. And so we want degrees because we want to have proof we have knowledge. Well, claircognizance, you don't have proof. It just comes out of your mouth. And so that it takes a lot of confidence to operate from that place. And then another one is clairsentience, which is feeling. So I feel things in my body. Clairvoyance is seeing. I don't see somebody in my, I don't see, which is kind of fine with me. And then hearing sometimes, but it's like a whisper. It's like a subtlety. But when you think of, like, you close your eyes and you think of, like, I'm feeling like a dad presence with you. Like when you feel like you're in the room with your dad and your eyes are shut, that is a signature imprint that you always have access to. And so I kind of know the energy of what a dad feels like, or a mom feels like, or somebody, you know, a family member, and they'll use me and my knowledge of what that feels like to then convey the message to you.
And you do a lot of educational classes and workshops, or you're planning for it. Why should people sign up for that?
Well, I love online. I just love the education of it. You know, mediumship can kind of be a little bit trending right now and all about, I don't know, like, look at what I can do, you know, like the entertainment value. And I think that if you really, really, really want to explore mediumship, you need to understand how the human responds on this earth. And so inner child work, I love teaching about that. Manifestation, like, let's get a grip on that, because we have access to whatever we can dream of, because if you can dream it, it's already in your energetic bubble. So you just need to believe you can have it. And so anyone that wants to learn more about the human experience and then to lean into what the medium experience can do for you, then I would highly, suggest that my education is for you, because that's what I'm all about, like making it a beautiful life.
And I totally recommend it. It's awesome. If people want to connect with you, where can they go? Where can they find you?
My website is The Medium Experience, so www.themediumexperience.com. And then I'm on Instagram. It's my favorite platform, and it's at The Medium Experience. And right now I'm offering one-on-one sessions, education, and then I do have a spiritual retreat in Colorado in September. It is for women only, but we will be doing some more retreats to come.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, themediumexperience.com. I'll have a link in the show notes for people who are interested. Thank you, Jenni, for your time. I really appreciate you and what you do. You're welcome on the show anytime. God bless you.
Oh, God bless you, Carlos. Thank you.
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was written and produced by yours truly, Carlos Correa. Carlos Tonight theme by Sken, Galis. Visit carlostonight.com for the very latest on the podcast, see upcoming guests, and check out past episodes. You can also sign up for my new newsletter that comes out every Friday. That's carlostonight.com.
In the World TV, Carlos Tonight, Carlos Tonight. Historias de un reportero.